From an iOS and Android legend to what will hopefully become a 3DS classic, Puzzle & Dragons Z with the Super Mario Bros. Edition is easily one of the greatest Nintendo 3DS games out there, and if I may be so bold, one of the greatest puzzle games of all time. Well, one of the two is. It may seem like a simple connect 3 orbs puzzle game, but you'd be very wrong. Under the Facade is a game with extremely lovable and intriguing characters, a complex story, and a puzzle game with so much depth that you won't feel bored for a single second of the 30-hour story. In Puzzle & Dragons Z, you control the main protagonist that goes by whichever name you prefer. You're meeting up at Ranger HQ to become a dragon tamer, when suddenly the world is separated by a person named Dogma. He's the leader of a group called Paradox who intends to create a new world using the Sky Dragons. Along the way you'll team up with a dragon called Syrup and acquire a huge variety of monsters who become your allies to battle many of Dogma's minions and many of the Paradox leaders, each with a different reason for being in Paradox. Every person, ally or foe you meet is extremely lovable or very intriguing, and that's something I have to thank the game for. I was heavily invested in the story and that kept me going, but that's certainly not the only thing. The gameplay is fantastic. You have to line up 3 or more orbs horizontally or vertically, but there's so much more to it than that. There are 6 types of orbs: wood, water, fire, light and darkness, each of them having a weakness for each other. The 6th orb is a healing orb. If you line up 5 or more of the same type of orb, you attack every monster instead of just one, and if you keep stacking combos through multiple orbs lining up with each other, then you'll be able to hit your foes with an incredible attack which will leave them in the dust. As I said though, this game has a lot more than just lining up orbs. The more combos you complete, the more you fill up your skill meter. This allows you to use your monster's special attack. It might be a move to increase your attack or defense, or it might just rain powerful death upon your enemies. Either way, at the cost of a few points that can easily be regained in minutes, it's certainly helpful and livens up the gameplay. One of the most impressive things about the game was how many monsters there actually were, and how unique every single one of them was. With each new level I entered, I found myself looking stunned at the new creature I was staring at. They are genuinely beautiful. There are 6 worlds to travel throughout your story, with many areas within each world. Throughout each dungeon you'll encounter the monsters, and when you defeat them you have a chance to collect one of 2 items from them. Either their egg, which allows you to hatch the monster at level 1 to use for your very own, or you might get a chip. These are computerized chips which help you evolve certain monsters. Evolving monsters is very similar to Pokemon evolution. Their form changes and they become more powerful in the process. It's a brilliant way to increase the replay value, since I guarantee you'll encounter at least one creature per world you'll want to find an egg for, and you'll keep playing that level over and over to get it. On top of the potential for finding eggs and chips, at the end of each battle you'll gain experience points for your monster and also default cubes. These cubes are essentially currency. There's a machine back at the Ranger HQ which allows you to sacrifice any duplicate eggs you may have in exchange for a significant amount of experience for your monster. This is genuinely one of my favourite features, as it's the perfect way to help speed up the leveling process of new monsters without actually doing the work. I haven't seen another system like this before, so I'm really impressed by how brilliant it is. Along your journey you'll also find chests. These can either contain cubes or runes. Runes can be given to an assistant of your father who will take you to another world where a very rare dungeon resides. Whilst they may not be powerful if you hatch their egg, you will definitely want to sacrifice them, as they can level up your monster 20 times from level 1, if not more than that. These rune areas certainly help if you're having a hard time at some point. As you progress throughout the game, you'll notice that the difficulty is incredibly fair. It gradually gets harder, especially near the end, but it never disillusions you from the prospect of winning. You know it's always a surefire thing as long as you train your monsters correctly and just generally don't play poorly. The bosses were a lot of fun to fight and the dungeons were pretty amazing too. The music certainly helped with that. The soundtrack to this game was both fast-paced and motivational, or calm and soothing depending on where you were. The composer found the perfect balance for each situation and it enchanted me. Once you beat the game, the side quests from the people around Zed City and the desire to capture monsters you miss will keep you playing for hours. So don't worry about not having anything to do once you beat the game. Overall, I think this is one of the greatest games to grace the 3DS, and I hope it isn't one that gets ignored. Now, let's talk about the Mario Bros. Version. I'm actually not going to alter my score based on this version, because this is how I see the game. Puzzle & Dragons Z came out in December 2013 in Japan, and this is the localization of the game. The Mario version is basically like DLC, free DLC that's an entire game long. It's certainly interesting, but sadly, it's not as fun. As I said, the difficulty of Z ramps up in a fair way, but this version is basically the quote-unquote hard mode of the game. World 3 becomes a huge difficulty spike, and if you don't grind, you'll die in one hit. That difficulty spike keeps rising with each new world. The game gives you lives to compensate for that, but that's the issue right there. It relies on the fact that you have lives and ramps up the difficulty accordingly. That shouldn't be a thing that happens. The defense stat has been replaced by heart recovery, so that adds to the difficulty since you're pretty much guaranteed to take the same amount of damage regardless. But that's not my only concern, unfortunately. There is basically no story. Orbs have appeared for no reason and Bowser's using their power and has kidnapped Princess Peach. That's it. I'm sorry, but it's boring and it covers that in just a few text boxes. Sadly, it's also just not as engaging as Z because you know the creatures from the Mushroom Kingdom already, so there won't be a big wow factor when you see someone new. I have talked about the negatives so far, so let's talk about what I liked. There are definitely differences between the two games. The way you level up your allies is slightly different as it doesn't cost you anything. Instead of devolt cubes, you collect coins, and they'll be used for the lottery. The lottery can give you either 1-ups, which you can have a maximum of 9 at a time, or it can give you items to evolve your ally, or it can give you items to level up its special power. The special power in this version takes a set amount of turns before it appears and leveling it up reduces it, which I liked quite a lot. It will take a while before you bring it down, but it's satisfying when it happens. Finally, you're able to turn your favourite Mario enemies into your allies, which is pretty cool. I quite like battling with a bonsai bill. As I said, I consider the Mario edition to be like hard mode DLC. It's there for those who want it, but the real gem of the game, and the score I'll give it, is focused around Puzzle & Dragon Z. Puzzle & Dragon Z was fun, engaging, unique, and stunning to look at and experience. I'm giving Puzzle & Dragon Z 94%. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed the review. So I also have a Let's Play of both of these two games on my channel on release date, so depending on when you watch this, it's either going to be out in a few days or it's out now, so I highly recommend checking it out. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with Puzzle & Dragon Z, but as I said, unfortunately, the Mario version just has so many flaws, and it's just frustratingly difficult, like genuinely, it's completely unfair. At least that's how I feel. If you like it, that's amazing, and I'm very happy that you're enjoying it. So let me know what you think of the game in the comments down below. Hope you enjoyed the Let's Play, and yeah, I will see you next time. Goodbye.